So, you've probably heard this one before, right? Science versus philosophy. It's often painted as this epic showdown. One's all about hard facts, the other's about these huge, abstract questions. But what if that whole rivalry is, well, just a story? Let's dig in. So, yeah, which is it? Are they friends or are they foes? Is this some kind of epic battle for the title of ultimate truth? Well, the real story, as you're about to see, is way more interesting than a simple rivalry. Okay, so here's the thing. They aren't foes at all. Not even close. It's much better to think of them like family, maybe siblings who just went down different paths. But what's really important is that at their core, they both come from the exact same place. This deep-seated human need to figure things out, to make sense of ourselves and this wild universe we're in. All right, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to jump in a time machine. Their story is all about a family that got so big it kind of had to split up. Let's take a quick look at how this one big search for knowledge branched into two. If you go way back to ancient Greece, there was no split. Philosophy was science. If you were a thinker, you were just a thinker. I mean, look at Aristotle. He was writing about biology one day and logic or politics the next. It was all just part of understanding the world. But then, boom, the scientific revolution hits. Suddenly we have this brand new, super powerful method based on testing things, on experimenting, and that's when science as we know it today really started to carve out its own path. So, what is that path? What is this new identity for science? Well, science basically planted its flag in the world of things you can measure, things you can test, and things you can prove. It focuses on a very, very specific kind of question. And that's what makes science so incredibly powerful, right? Its method. It's this systematic way of finding answers that isn't just based on one person's opinion. Anyone, anywhere, can test it for themselves. It's this shared, repeatable way of figuring out how the nuts and bolts of the world actually work. Okay, but what about all those questions you can't stick under a microscope? The ones you can't measure with a ruler? Well, that's where its sibling, philosophy, steps in. It's all about the big picture, the very foundations of what we know and how we exist. So philosophy's main tools are reason and logic. It uses them to dig into the why questions. Why is there anything at all instead of just nothing? Or the ought questions, like what does it even mean to live a good life? No lab experiment is ever going to give you the final, definitive answer on those. And this really gets to the heart of it. They have completely different toolkits because they're asking different kinds of questions. Science wants to know how heavy is the Earth or what causes disease. It's looking for answers you can test and measure. Philosophy, on the other hand, is asking, what is truth, or do we actually have free will? It's digging for a deeper kind of understanding. So you see, they're not even competing. They're playing two totally different but equally essential games. And this is where things get really cool. Because these two fields don't just exist side by side in isolation. They actually help each other out. They make each other stronger. They're not rivals at all. They are crucial partners in this whole quest for knowledge. Think about it. Philosophy gives science some really critical backup. First, there's the philosophy of science itself, which asks, hey, what even counts as good evidence or a solid scientific explanation? Then you have ethics. With huge discoveries in things like AI or genetics, philosophy helps us wrestle with how we should use them. And finally, it helps clarify the very ideas science works with. What do we even mean by time, consciousness, or cause? Science uses these concepts, but philosophy helps define them. A really fantastic way to think about this relationship is to picture philosophy as the soil. It does all the groundwork. It asks those huge, foundational questions and clears up the concepts, creating this rich, fertile ground where the seeds of scientific questions can actually take root and grow. All right, that might all sound a bit abstract, so let's bring it right down to earth with a super simple everyday example. This should make it crystal clear how these two ways of thinking work together to give us a much richer, more complete view of the world. So just imagine you're watching a sunrise. The scientist standing next to you can explain exactly how it's all happening. The Earth is spinning, light waves are scattering through the atmosphere to make those incredible colors. It's this precise, mechanical, and frankly amazing explanation. But the philosopher, watching that exact same sunrise, is asking a different set of questions. They're wondering, why do we find this so beautiful? What does it mean to us that time keeps marching on, that every day is a new beginning? See, both perspectives are totally valid, both are true, and you really need both to get the full picture. And maybe nobody said it better than Albert Einstein himself. He perfectly captured this partnership. He knew that science gives us these powerful eyes to see the world, but philosophy gives us the vision to actually understand what it is we're seeing. Take one away, and the other is just incomplete. So at the end of the day, it's pretty clear we need both of these lenses to see reality. Science is incredible at showing us the mechanics of the universe, the how, but philosophy is what helps us grapple with its meaning, the why. And when you put them together, you get a much fuller, deeper, and, well, more human understanding of everything. Which kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on, doesn't it? As science gets better and better at explaining more and more of our world, can it, or will it, ever answer all of our questions? Can the study of how ever truly replace our fundamental need to ask why? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.